Patria is a non-profit organization, and we do essentially the works of Murray Schafer. His music emanates from his explorations for the last 45 years or so, various issues and the environment. The Enchanted Forest is Patria number 9 in the entire cycle. Essentially with this particular work, it's a children's choir that is searching for Ariana, the spirit of Ariana. And the children's choir takes the audience through a number of experiences in the forest, ultimately hearing the voice of Ariana and knowing her spirit is there. But the message is, we want to preserve this natural environment. But I think the watchword is, there is life out there and we should preserve it and protect it. So there's this constant rebirth. If there is death, there's a re-examination of the values of life and rebirth, whether it's in reforestation or in terms of a search and an identity for one, in terms of our existence beyond ourselves.
When I went up to see Peter Schleifenbaum, the owner of the Haliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve, and we had dinner one night, and he said, well, what do you want of me? And I said, well, I need a lake. I didn't ask him for a theater, not right off anyway. I said, I need a lake. And he said, okay, I'll give you a lake.
Haliburton Forest partnership with Patria is, I would dare to say, based on the personal relationship between Murray Schafer and myself. And the way it fits so nicely is because Murray Schafer's work is also based on environmental principles. And they're exactly the same principles that Haliburton Forest is founded on. So they make a very nice, I would say, a perfect fit.
Right now, like, the big priority is making all the trails sort of walkable for rehearsal that begins tomorrow. We've had bulldozers in, we've had the ATV pulling wood, and building everything with a chainsaw. There's no table saw here at all.
When we end up with our path will end up where the bridge goes in. It's a little narrower than the other paths for that reason, because it's like single file after the show.
When I'm in deep water, this is shallow water.
This is shallow, yeah.
All the playing areas are set up so they can start rehearsing on them, but there's still a lot of trail maintenance and fine-tuning. All of the audience areas need to be cleared and raked and, seating established. We still need every minute we got.
It's really been fun working with Murray. He's an amazing person. He's always made me feel that we work in collaboration. I don't work for him. And you can't replace that. That's fantastic.
In receiving the score, the first thing that I noticed was that I could go through it from the first page to the last page. I could sit at the piano, I could play through it, I could go through all the texts, but even so, I was never able to really picture how the entirety of the work held together, and it wasn't really fathomable until I arrived here.
I think it's an unbelievable experience for these young people to walk into a natural setting and listen to the sound of the leaves and to the wind, to hear those sounds replicated and then have the opportunity to come in and be part of that with the other actors. It's a real spiritual thing that happens here for them.
In this piece, it's also interesting how you're working with nature and in some ways very much against nature. The work would not be the same without its environment. And at the same time, it is a theater piece. There are stage lights, which you never see in the forest. There are platforms. There are all kinds of elements that are in opposition to this world of nature. And the two of them, in their opposition and also in their blending into one, makes also the project an experience of its own. Bicycle! I find that Murray has a fairly clear idea of what he's trying to do, and I'm there to come up with ideas that can enhance the vision that he has.
The man becomes a kind of wolf figure in the Patria Cycle. The woman, far from just being a simple girl as she was at the beginning, she becomes the princess of the stars, so she takes on a divine sort of connotation. So you have this combination, this coupling, this eventual sort of coupling of the divinity, the female divinity, and the male sort of earth animal. What happens is that the wolf then is transformed and goes up and becomes the moon god. And the woman goes back up to the stars as the princess of the stars, and in particular the corona borealis. And the 8th star she throws down to earth for us as a guiding principle. So what you have is a transformation of energies, and the two of them then become, in a sense, united as those energies flow together.
Look! The sun is setting. Soon the great Sky Father will descend into the underworld. The golden dust of his passing will spread across the sky to light us with glorious color before fading and turning to darkness.
Earth Mother is goddess of the entire world. It's a female spirit. And she more or less oversees this event. She knows what will happen. She sends people off, the children, to go and find the lost Ariana, and she knows that it will work out in the end, and she greets them back at the end and unites everybody in the circle of life. So the circle of life is the triumph of life over destruction.
Earth Mother, help us! We have lost our friend. She was lured away by the marsh hawk, and now it is growing dark, and we are afraid we won't find her.
What is the name of your lost companion?
Ariana!
Call her name.
Murray's very good at writing for the female voice. Most of his works gives a very dominant role to the female figure. And you just go through any of his works and there's lots of opportunities for great, great character singing and acting as a female.
Oh why do I tremble with joy? Nature and the environment really affects the piece itself, so that the nature and the outdoors becomes as much sort of part of the music, or even an added performer in a sense. The way that the staging is set up, the audience is entering as I'm singing, and so we're never really sure how long the scene is going to be, so there are sections that I repeat for a fairly long time, depending on how many people there are in the audience. In that sense, I have to still maintain the intensity of the singing while keeping track of the possibility that the scene could be shorter or longer.
Dr. Meredith has a great eye called Mimir. who sees everything that happens in the forest.
I really love this particular role, this particular kind of theater, this particular use of the voice is an ideology that I personally feel very passionately about.
I have said enough.
I think there's a part of me that, really loves the adventure of it, to sort of be in this world where you're sort of perched on the edge of something risky and adventurous, and yet something, the professional production side of it, where there I am harnessed and strapped in. It's a very interesting space to be in, sort of on the edge, but at the same time quite firmly and strongly rooted to something of the safe and real world.
There are very few incentives to write a very large piece. It just doesn't happen very often. To write an opera or to write a large music theater piece or something, they just don't want to pay the money and take the risk, with a Canadian composer. So in order to conceive a large-scale work, sometimes it's more useful to think departmentally. I'll get a commission to write this part, and I'll get a commission to write that part and that part. When you've got 12 parts, then maybe you can attach them all together somehow. But you have to have the concept in your mind long before you begin work on the first one, that you know how those 12 parts are going to fit together into a complete whole.
We are family. Where's your kilt, Joe?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's a great shot.